And we are back from break. I hope you enjoyed those videos. It is, oh, hold on. I got to bring everybody else back too, otherwise they can't hear. They can hear me, but they can't talk. So yeah, Hexaflexagons, they're pretty cool. By Heart, like I said, she's got her own YouTube channel. She does a lot of other math, like magic type stuff mostly with fractals. And then I mentioned in the chat channel that she also, like, if you follow her on Twitter, she's working with a company that's a kind of a startup company that's working on a virtual reality. She tweets a lot about the stuff that she's working on in that regard for the Oculus Rift. So yeah, that was the break video. I have your minds been blown?
We all just learned how to do time travel. That's what just happened.
Drink your cheesecake.
What?
I think she just said STFU and drink your cheesecake.
No, I just said drink your cheesecake.
Oh, I might have.
No, I'm the one that's got
coffee.
Now I'm the one that nearly has coffee coming out my nose.
Yay! I mean, boo!
So
why you gotta hurt me?
Flatus,
because you like it.
You asked a question on Twitter the other day, and I want to know a little bit about like what your thoughts were going into the question. And you were asking, can there be an all-access only server of EverQuest Next?
Yeah. Well, on Twitter, now Twitter has this little thing in messages where you can do group messaging. So we have the Helsing Army group, like the little guild, we have a guild chat in Twitter. And we kind of just because we have on occasion retweeted like 80 times in one message to each other. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And then Twitter was like, hey, listen, we're going to do group messaging. I was like, God, thank goodness. Because it makes it easier. A little easier to follow. That being said, we kind of did, we were talking about servers in relation to H1Z1. And right now on the PvP servers, they are, unless you get one of the whitelist servers, which I'll get to, there's a lot of KOSing, a lot of kill on sight. Like, there's no questions asked. And we were getting frustrated because you'd spawn in, you destroy all your clothing to make a bow and a satchel, run into town. That's how I roll, baby.
Did you just call me baby?
You know it.
All right, just.
I'm naked in the woods with a bow and arrow and a satchel.
That's how the Brodonis rolls.
The Brodonis.
That is totally bare butts Flatus.
It is. And so I was out, we would just like, alright, we're gonna meet here, and you'd spend 15 minutes running across the map just to have someone, you'd walk past somebody and just be like, you don't have your weapon equipped, you're just sitting there and you're like, in proximity chat, you're like, you cool, alright. You would both say, listen, don't mess with me, I won't mess with you, it's fine. And you go start running, all of a sudden you have 2 arrows in your back and you're down on the ground, so you have to restart all over. So you're trying to go play with your friends, and you spend 80 minutes trying to get to them, and then by the time you were there, then you die. Even when you get there, you die. So we were like, well, we decided to go to a hardcore server, figuring there would be less KOSing there, just because you lose your recipes and stuff like that. And we felt like people wouldn't want to die as much because you lost all your things, you lost all your recipes and everything, and you had to start off from scratch. So far, we've killed more people, there than anywhere else. Just
I have
because.
A quick question.
Go ahead.
Can you keep a list of recipes that you figured out, like on a piece of paper to the side, so that you can just make them? Or is there any real reason to keep your recipes if you don't write them down?
It's a pain, mostly. It's kind of cool to know them, and you don't have to reset, because you have to sit there, and it takes, like, because there's, like, when they add more, it's going to be more of a hassle. Right now, I want to say there's maybe 20 recipes right now, and they're all pretty simple. They don't use everything yet. But when they start adding, like, more vegetables and wheat and stuff like that, where you can start making baked goods and start making all the bread, like Survivor bread and stuff like that, then it's gonna be a pain because like it took me. I died once already on an alt character that I had, and I had to go in and sit there, and it takes like 10-15 minutes. And like, do I have like you have to go scrounge, make sure we have like we're the Helsing base that we have. We have a lot of the stuff there, so I picked up all the stuff and started making my recipes again. And it takes a minute. It does take and you're sitting there like, oh. All right, or you have to ask somebody else to make them for you, which is a hassle. You don't want to bother anybody. Like, hey, can you make water for me? Because I don't know how to make water yet, and stuff like that. It's like, okay. So it's kind of a thing, and so there are whitelisted servers, and there is one that we joined. We asked, they get 10,000 tickets, and then we signed up for the server and asked for it. It's an RP PvP server. There are no KOSing. You have to RP, so I think we haven't decided yet what we're going to RP as. And then, but it was just like, there's no KOS. You can hold somebody up and ask for their stuff. Like, you don't have to kill them, but you at least have to rob them. So I'd rather do that. So it came along that like a lot of people were like, well, what if there were servers where you could, if you were a subscriber, would you prefer a server like that on EQ Next, where it was like you didn't have to deal with like a PvP server where you knew everybody on the server was paying for the game, so you probably feel like they weren't just logging in. Like, you know, most free-to-play people don't care. Like, if there are people that will just log in and just come in for a free-to-play game and just kill people. If it's a PvP thing, they'll just run in there and kill people. So they felt like if you were paying for it, would they be less trolling and just killing and not caring about what happens to you because you don't really care about your account or anything like that. So that's why I asked. I was like, Dear Jay Jordan, would it be a thing if you are a subscriber? Would there be a whitelist server for you? And then that's when we started our little conversation. So it was nothing really against you, Lucy. I would play, of course I want to play EverQuest Next with everybody. It just happens that it's an interesting thing just because of what we see so far in H1Z1 is that people will just log in and just kill you. I'm hoping that the one name per server helps because I think a lot of people can make different names and if you're we resulted to writing down everybody's name. That's how bad it was. We started writing down KOSers and then that way
funny because I watched another person stream and he had it on his sidebar.
Yeah, because you had to write down the names. You're like, I'm gonna go find these people.
Right, and he was basically publishing it by putting it on his stream. Right, like these are the these are the people that you know, kill them when you see them because they're not going to give you a chance.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's my thing. EverQuest Next is not going to be like a free for all PvP, right? Not on all servers. So you're not
PvP servers.
That problem where you spawn in and you get deaded immediately.
On PvP servers.
But if you want an all-access server, you're going to have one for each server type. You're going to have a PvP server, a PvE server, a RP PvP server, an RP server, an RP PvE server. Like,
that's fine.
But at that point, aren't you just fracturing your player base into like a ton of tiny little different niches?
Yeah, unless you pay.
And I think that I just think that it's a fascinating conversation. I would not have thought about it for a traditional MMO at all because I'm used to just seeing, you know, 2 server types and then a third sub server type. And I'm going to throw it out there. It is really hard to consider any type of server an RP server if there are not game mechanics that enforce it. And that's a lot of...
Thank you.
And that's like one of the things about like Guild Wars 2 is there was no RP PvP, there was no RP server designated. So the RP community just said, that's our RP server, and they all went to that server. And that's, I mean, you don't need to make it.
They got no end of grief for it.
Right. So traditionally, you know, you can say that it's an RP server, but I'm just going to say it breaks down to PvE and PvP, and that's it. And so like, that's why I wasn't even thinking about it until I went and looked at it after you asked the question. I'm like, not only is H1Z1 allowing people in the future to be able to vote on server rule sets with their tickets and stuff like that, but they also created whitelist servers. And that was one of my questions is like, is that just for the beta or is that going to be after the game launches? Like, it really kind of scares me thinking about EverQuest Next servers being out there that I can't play on because I haven't got whitelisted by the approval committee. And, it just hurts my feeling. It would hurt my feeling a little bit.
I feel like that definitely creates like a sort of like elitist feeling. Like, oh, well, I have my own private server and you can't get on it.
Now,
let me see your character's backstory before you can play on my RP server. Like, it needs to. You need to answer this. You need to fill out this form, and it needs to be at least 1,000 words of backstory, and then we'll consider it. I would no. I'm not that serious about the game. I am so not that serious about gaming with random people.
That'd be fantastic. Actually, on the RP server, I kind of want to be like a post-apocalyptic guy who goes around and says that was in the Church of Cthulhu, and just go around. Hey, can I talk to you about our Lord and Savior Cthulhu in the world of zombies? Now, as for
my only worry is that you're going to have too many servers, and that you're not going to have enough people on each server to actually do stuff. And if you're not an all-access server, like an all-access member, you're not going to be able to get the people in order to do things on your server. So at that point, isn't it pay to win?
No, it's not. Because you're not.
Then at that point, it's pay to play. You have to pay in order to play. To
get on that server, yes. Oh, because the whitelist servers are given. They're currently given to. I don't know if they have to buy them or what they're doing for those whitelist servers. There is somebody we know mutually that is trying to get one. I'll after the show I can kind of talk about it. But for EQN purposes, I think what I was trying to get at is not so much like the whitelist H1Z kind of servers where there's 10,000 people and it's survival. More of the EQN, is there going to be like a PvP and a PvE server? Just stick with those two like servers for people that pay monthly to play, that to pay server, I'll cover a lot of your costs and say, listen, I'm dedicating my $15 of entertainment money a month to you. And I would like a server dedicated to me. Not me personally, but like to the people that play, because there are people that I've talked to that said I am willing to sub for a server like that. Because they don't want to deal with the free to play trolls. And that's a lot of things. Like a lot of people I know want to play PvP. And since story matters in a game like EQN where rallying calls matter, story, like I've seen people come up where like we want to do PvP, but then they're also afraid of the rallying calls. Like, what do you do when a majority of the server is trolls and they're screwing the story away from your group or the group of people on the server that want to see the story go a different way? And you have a majority of people. Do you jump ship and go to a different server? And if you do, is that server on the same scale of where you were? Because remember, every server is divergent in story. So now you're dealing.
I'm not going to play on a PvP server.
And that was my point. Yep, and that was my point too. A lot of my friends want to play PvP, but I'm like, what's the point? It's gonna hurt the rallying call. You're gonna get screwed over and have this over the.
But at the same time, it's part of the story to get screwed over. It's part of the story for the bad guys to win. I just want to be a big damn hero. I'm sorry. I want to.
So do I.
I want to play in a server that allows that.
I want to be a hero too. I just don't want to get trolled into not being the hero.
But you're also assuming that all access members aren't trolls.
No! Listen. I know some of them out there are paying $15 a month. They're still like,
well, especially since it's all access, which means that like a player that like, hey, I'm subbed because I like playing PlanetSide 2, but EverQuest Next just launched, so I'm going to log in, and because it's a game I don't care about, like I don't care about the story or I care about the community, because when everything is said and done, I'm going to log out of EverQuest Next and go back to PlanetSide 2. I can just screw whatever I want over here. And I again, like I think that it's just an interesting talking point, but I see the pros and cons both ways. I think that I think that for sure, like EverQuest Next opens up variables that you wouldn't traditionally consider. Like, would you guys be supportive of a permadeath server?
Could happen.
If that's what people want,
Sure.
Same thing.
Yeah.
See, I might. It depends on the death mechanic because the game the first computer game I played, which was massive and online, there was permadeath. But the only time anybody ever lost their character was when they were dumb and they had no friends online because it was like a 15-minute countdown for your corpse to rot, and any time in those 15 minutes you could get brought back to life. So in order to permanently die, you had to leave yourself logged in while you're slowly rotting away and have no friends come and resurrect you. Which isn't to say that there weren't ways to get around it, but if they have that sort of death mechanic, I think that I might be intrigued a little bit. Again, I'm the one that likes the Iron Man challenge. I look at that and be like, what all can I do with this sort of environment?
You like roguelike games, don't you?
I've never played Rogue.
You would love a rogue, not like Rogue the character, like roguelike games where you only get one life, and then you like kind of have to. Yeah, I love those games.
I hate those games.
Real quick though, Krona kind of pointed out PvP. Like it's like if on a PvE server, if someone wants to help farmers fight, or you want to help farmers fight the orcs, and someone else helps the orcs kill the farmers, you can't stop them. Not true. Even on PvE servers, you can flag for PvP. So yes, you can stop them. You just have the option not to get killed from someone flagged. You could choose to flag yourself and just go and kill him and say, ha ha ha, I'm still saving the farmer.
And that goes back to my argument that all EverQuest Next servers are going to have PvP. It's just a matter of personal death. Can that other player inflict player death upon you? And if it's no, then it's not a PvP server in the traditional sense. But when it comes to like everything else out in there, if that guy wants to support the orcs doing their orc thing and you are opposed to the orcs doing their orc thing, you're conflicting with one another, player against player. Now, he might not have a mechanic to be able to kill your player, and people like they that's a personal experience that they don't want in their gameplay, but I have not seen anything that says that there's not going to be that sort of struggle between players in the game.
I just want to point out that you're assuming that PvE will solve everything. One, if they don't have more people than you, and two, if they're not better PvPers than you.
Woo!
Because you can PvP all you want, but if you suck and you can't kill them, then you're not doing anything. That's me. I suck at PvP, so I am not helping my cause whatsoever. However, on a PvE server, if there's like one dude helping the orcs rather than helping the farmers, I can still get my group of friends together and say, hey, let's all do the farmers quest rather than the orcs quest to try to get more faction for the farmers than for the orcs, so that in the end, our group wins. There's no difference. You can still fight against them by rallying other people to your cause. It's just different. You're not fighting them one-on-one. You're fighting them faction versus faction.
Yeah. And to answer Snowman Wolf's question, he's like, if they don't flag for PvP, how would you turn them on? Make the farmers... Once you hit a farmer, guess what? You're flagged for PvP because it's an NPC character.
Right. Or
that's your situation.
Or the farmers will be like, there's all of these orcs that are attacking us, and we see you helping the orc, and that means that they're now
an enemy
against what you're doing. You are now their enemy because you helped the orcs.
Yep. There are solutions. Don't think it's a be all end all. There are solutions to how they do things.
I just feel like when you get into the PvP mindset, your only thought is, well, my only solution is to kill that person. It's not true. You can like rally your friends. You can do quests day and night. You can not quest. You can not farm your mats. You can just keep doing this quest over and over again to try to get your side to win. It's not that it's the only option to stop the other people. That's not true.
Yeah. And Krona's got a point. All access premium servers just make it less likely that world burners will pay $10 a month to burn the world. And that's the point. There are people willing to say, like, not everybody, not like you. I'm just saying there are people that say, I want to play on PvP. I want to have the option to do that, but I want to kind of make it so that I have less of a chance to have people that kind of want to watch the world burn, less of a chance of running into them. Because there's people that are like, I want a PvP on a ground base that it's fair. Not that, like, a guy's like, dude, let's all download that EQN first day and let's all just go rampage on a PvP server. Because if Divergent story matters and in the first 30 days everything goes to shit, then where do you feel as a person playing on that server where story matters? And like we even Chad and I had a conversation about oh, he was like, because Chad's like, oh, I think they're going to allow you to just like move from server to server, like free, like you can in Landmark. And I told Chad, I'm like, dude, I 100% doubt that. 100%.
And I think that Chad did, did ask Dave, and Dave replied back with no. Like, it's going to be an option, but it's not going to be as like Landmark. They're like bouncing between servers and bouncing between like islands on the server is almost nothing. But EverQuest Next is not going to be like that because they want to have the community on those servers matter.
Yeah, they want server identity. They want you to be able to say like, I was on Heroic, and we downed we did the rallying call that brought the dragon about. We all downed that dragon, like, and you had to be there to do that. And there may be others.
3 years later, there was 50 people there originally, and there's like 200 years down the road. I was there too.
My only concern about all access servers are that there's going to be the mentality that these are the real servers, and that everybody else is just a filthy casual.
No, they're just people that can't afford to pay.
See,
or don't want to. They don't need to. They don't want to. Like, to be fair, like the reason I don't pay all access is that I don't think that I'm getting anything for my money. Like, you're getting station cash, but what else? Like, for the fact that I only play Landmark, what's the point? I'm literally only getting station cash, so why not just buy the station cash when I want it?
And so, and my thing is like, would SOE Daybreak be willing to do it? Because as I argued in the first hour, that one of the things that they sell you on playing their games is that they look at their players as content for other players. And the moment you start allowing your players to move away from other players, all of a sudden they're like you're like that. It's not just that you're fracturing servers; is that you're separating off into different areas of content. And I would say that the people that are investing the money for all access to play on a server are also the type of people that would step forward and want to lead guilds and lead communities and organize events on that server. And if they are given the option of playing on a different server, then all of a sudden those other servers, they don't have that because, and that I'm not talking absolutes. I'm just talking that.
Is it an all-access member? Is a guild leader? Is a content creator?
Right. But,
is a community leader?
But, and again, I'm just throwing it out there that maybe you're one, and there are 5 others that like I'd rather play on an all-access server. So instead of having 6, because 5 plus 1, instead of having 6 community content creators on a server, now 5 of them have left, and you're the only one there. And so
But at the same time, I'm going to play devil's advocate for you again. What if all of the content creators are on the all-access servers and you're all competing for events at the same time? And then your events never get the attention that they deserve because you're all competing.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, if you're entering, it depends. What type of competition? Is it like a Daybreak ran competition?
Well, you know what I mean? Like, if you're sponsoring, let's say, you're all getting together to do a rallying call, and 7 other guilds are too, because they're all, community leaders, and they're all sponsoring these events too. Like, at that point, aren't you just competing with other people? There's nothing to do because there's too much to do. Or rather... There's not nothing to do. There's just too much to do. So you have to, like, pick and choose.
So you pick and choose. I think it's one of those... You're going to play with your friend. At the end of the day, I'm going to play with my friends.
Yep.
Here's the thing. It was more of a question of... My friends are all like, this is happening, and this is a thing, and it's happening H1Z1. More prevalent than other games that we have played. Mostly because I pay for other games I play. But... It happens, and it's going to happen, and I'll say Chrono was the one that kind of brought it up to me. He was like, I'm willing to pay $15 a month for a server that I have less of a chance for someone to come in and F with me. I was like, and that's why I was like, interesting. That's an interesting thing. I wonder if they'll do that. And that's when I decided to tweet at Dave Georgeson and ask. He never answered. Granted, they're going through some changes. I did ask him, I think, the day before Daybreak was announced, so understandably I never got an answer. But it doesn't mean that it's not a possibility. It could very well be a possibility that they have special servers for all access members. They may not. They may not have servers like that. They may
I suspect we'll see something like they did with H1Z1, that with all access you get tickets, and with your tickets you can choose to like not auction, but basically you and your community come together with all of your tickets and you give them the SOE, and SOE says like, this is, you get to choose your rule set for this server, and one of those things might be, there's then a whole lot of options open up. Like, I don't know, what was it, like Arcade had kingdoms that could form, could you kick people out of your kingdoms? Like Eve has the alliances that hold sovereign space, that, you know, it's like if you piss off the leader of the alliance, you get kicked out, and all of a sudden you are separated from that entire area of content because they'll kill you whenever you come close to their jump portal. So there's like, even without like the traditional sense, I think that we're going to see something like that forming. Just that I think that cutting off, I don't know. I think that it's too easy to get all access, and it's too discriminate.
Yeah.
So
I have one thing to interject, because you guys were talking about playing with your friends. What if you want to get your friend interested in the game, but they don't want to pay for the all access, so they can't play on your server?
You got a point. So there are downfalls. There are a lot of downfalls. There are a lot of pitfalls and downfalls. There are ups and downs to each side. And there is with anything. There is with a PvE server versus a PvP server. There is there's just tons of ups and downs for each thing. One, here, and I'm going to make all these crazy theoretical thoughts. One, Daybreak has now stepped up the game with AI. The AI is not Path. So now on the PvP side of things, you have to worry about enemies now that are smart, kind of like a player. They will judge you and learn what you're doing if it works. If it does work, we may be screwed. Because now it's not only like, oh, the orc just walks back and forth and does these set move sets. Now the orc walks back and forth, has a guy out in the bush that watches you and can flank you from the side, or judge and figure out who's like, because there's no like, there's a tanky guy, but there's no tanky tank. So you don't know what the moves are. You think like the things can outthink you. We don't know what they're going to be able to do yet. They may be crazy smart and figure out move sets and figure out how to overpower people. Then PvP, if you had people messing with you, then it's like, I'm losing battle on one side. I'm sure as hell going to lose the battle on the other side.
Somebody in chat had a really good comment. Saying that if you're on the all-access server, then the free servers are not going to have the community base to convince free players to stick around, or possibly
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then it also comes with the question of like, right now, the people that play H1Z1, or at least the people I play with, feel that the KOSers, there's no punishment for KOSing. There's like, you just instantly log in, dead, and there's no like, they don't care. Like, they just don't care.
Yeah, and again, like my first experience in playing Vanguard, that was one of the things that irked me the most, is that I was a gnome in the gnome city, and I was getting killed because I was on the PvP server, and the gnome guards in the city did nothing, so there was no consequence. And I'm like, it kind of irritated me on a personal level, because it's like, hey, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, and I keep dying. But on a immersion level, it was more like, shouldn't the gnome guards be helping me? I'm a gnome in my gnome city. And I hope that even if they do stuff like that for EverQuest Next, that there will be, like, your Rosong remembers your deeds, and you don't get free access. If you take a license to kill everybody that you want and everybody you come across, life of consequence, it's going to mean something. The guards are going to be like, no, you can't come in our city. You're a murderer. You're a burglar. You're not the type of people that we welcome into our society.
And the sad thing is I'm going to argue against my point here and say that Corona brought up a good point, saying that free-to-play players will just make a new account to mess with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, I think that that's going to be few and far between. You're going to get like maybe one of those guys, two of those guys while you're playing. if that, or girls. I'm not discriminating. Girls can be assholes too.
I don't know. I've seen communities like League of Legends where where have you seen this? Listen, I'll even say that I experienced this in a newer game that's not even out yet, officially out yet. Heroes of the Storm, all right?
Gladys,
Yeah.
do you have a story you need to tell us? Did a girl hurt you?
No, not a girl.
Did she beat you up?
Could have been a girl. I don't know. And sex didn't really come into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Funny
no.
story.
I'm okay with the girl beating me up. I don't really care.
And today we learned far too much about flattering.
No. Let's. No, in Heroes of the Storm, like I just started playing, and they rotate characters out, and I was playing one of the new characters. Just logged in, new character, just started playing it, and other people like when they play those games will go in full bore and learn how to play the character like right from the start, or like learn things about the character. And I was like, I didn't know Thrall just came out. Let me go play Thrall. First thing is Thrall's not playing right. Thrall's a noob. Like, bro, I just logged in 2 minutes. Thrall's new. I want to play a Thrall. I was like, I didn't know. I started getting like heckled, and I was like, but I didn't know. I just wanted to be the leader of the orcs, and he had a cool hammer, and I could summon a wolf, and I just want to kill things. It's just, and I was getting verbally abused. And I was like, and I didn't care. Like, I don't like whatever. Like, just rolling around, like, don't care. We still won. Like, and that's happened to us in Smite before, where like we've all played Smite, and then I think like remember I don't know, Buddha. I was something. I was like I was the little dude, the little baby guy, and I would grow to large sizes. And I was told to go one lane, and there was 2 people, and I couldn't handle 2 people at once. It wasn't my character's ability to do that, and I was getting yelled at. Like,
Flat can't handle 2 people at once. Hashtag confirmed.
No, hey, whoa. Let's not start that hashtag.
This is what you have me here for.
It's not. As a small baby man, no, I cannot handle 2 in game as a small baby man. I am not a small baby man in real life. That's the exact opposite of what I am. I'm a dwarven wall man, or Brodonis, as I like to be called.
Somebody needs to tweet Dwarven Wall of Man right now. Right now.
Wall of
Wall
man.
of Man.
Oh.
I'm short but wide and stocky, so it's just kind of the thing. I can't help it.
Wall of Man.
I think I'm taller than Tanlin. Or Tanlin, how would you 5'8"? No, shorter. 5 what?
6, 5, 7.
I'm 5'8".
No. Okay, so my son is Gavin. Gavin is taller than my husband.
Oh, jeez.
You all got me beat.
You're like what, 5? Even?
Even.
Yeah, I'm like 5'8", but still, like I'm wide. Like for me, I'm still short, and I'm just like literally like my shoulder length is about 27 inches almost. Like I'm a brick wall. There's nothing she about this.
Kailas is pulling a Tanlin.
Anyway,
Good, because nobody needs to hear me sing on stream.
Sweet mercy.
Okay.
So anyway, what were we talking about? Servers?
Dwarven Wall of something is what I'm going to.
Dwarven Wall of Man.
I'm tweeting this right now. I have to.
Dwarven Wall of Man.
It's my duty.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter what the game is. In free-to-play games, people are gonna... Actually, I gotta say, Hearthstone, not so much. You don't really get a whole lot of trolling at Hearthstone, but they limit kind of, like, how they can message you and stuff like that, and you're kind of one versus another, but... I don't know, and... Oh, what is going on right now?
That was my fault. I opened the video of me dancing at SOE Live, and it overlapped onto my other monitor instead of the monitor I was currently working on, and it put it over the top of your smiling faces. So,
So, Coin and Cleavage real quick said, yeah, all access server offerings seem to be the opposite of their company-wide free-to-play microtransaction model. Just doesn't seem to make sense. But then, if it doesn't, then why do they have the whitelist servers on H1Z1? Why even bother having them? But people are playing on them. They're giving out 10,000 codes to people. The NGT server, the RP server I'm playing on, that you can go sign up for it now. The guy's got 10,000 codes, and he's getting people signing up for it. So it's a thing. It's a real thing. People are doing it. So maybe this H1Z1's kind of a test bed for EQN for that, just to see if it would work. Maybe like specialized servers, and we don't know. We could see specialized rule sets. Maybe people want them.
Right, and so maybe rather than like beating on the bush of the all access server, what other rules would we want if we could create our own server and have mechanical rules in place? Right, what type of rules would we like to see? Because I've already thrown out there like a permadeath server, an always flagged for PvP server. What else can we think of?
I mean,
it's not like mechanic though.
Same here.
But
Same
like
here.
a whitelist server could be another one. It's like again, like I can't think of many more beyond that. So, how many does the H1Z1 have?
I don't know. I guess maybe the max per server may be 10,000, because if there's 10,000 keys per that whitelist server, how many whitelist servers do they have? I'd have to log in and see, but I don't have the game downloaded. There's like I want to say there was like 8 maybe whitelist servers in total. Or the NGT, but they were making up their own rules. Like NGT was RP PvP. There were other ones that were hardcore strictly. There were PvE H1Z1 servers that were private.
H1Z1, is there? Can you have multiple characters on the same server?
You were able to up until last week, where they did the change. So it's one character per server, but you can have the same name per server. So, or per different server, so I can still be Flatus on one server, be Flatus on another.
Right.
The other time, but like what another character really allowed you to do was, and I kind of see why they changed it on a game like H1Z1. You don't want to be able to have multiple tunes on a single server, just because you can run out, and if you find a handgun on one, you can go bury it in a stash and run and put that on your main. Or if you find good stuff, you could or have like, all right, well, this is my bug out location, so I have all this extra stuff that I got from my spare tune, and I put it over here, and I can hide it. Or if I get a KOS, or I get somebody that's messing with me, I can log out real quick, log on my other tune that's got a gun, and then log in and shoot him real quick. So I guess they want to kind of make it so that your one character is more of a, I don't want to die because I'm more attached to this guy, whereas I wasn't as attached. Like, I didn't care if I died, because then I had more than one tune, and it actually caused us to start having a lot of stuff. Like we had ended up having like almost 1,000 bullets, like multiples of guns. Like, although after they did that, we went out and found a bunch of cars, and we have the Helsing Army used car lot out back now. We have 5 cop cars, a couple jeeps. I'm pretty sure maybe. I jumped a car. The other day we jumped a car and it crash landed and we blew up, which wasn't fun. So that's how many cars we have, where we can crash one and be like, "Well, that was fun. Let's go do it again."
Yeah. So I don't like. Corona threw out the list of different type of rule sets for H1Z1, and I don't think headshots works on EverQuest Next. But I can see, since EverQuest launched as a first-person only perspective, and people like that, and maybe a first-person only EverQuest Next server. But I don't know if there's a huge demand for it, because again, there's a competitive advantage in first-person shooters. Where do you really have that advantage in an MMO RPG?
I don't know. That's a good question, because especially since certainly if I'm a mage and I throw out a fire spell and somebody throws arrows or shoots arrows to that fire, it lights them on fire. So and then destructibility of environments and stuff. I don't know. I think maybe you want to be a third person to kind of see what's happening to things around you, so you can adjust. Because not only is it what's happening around, it's also what's happening behind you. Because if somebody's throwing fire,
no, and now that I think about it, I can see there's a small advantage in PvP. Because if you're stuck in first person perspective and somebody comes behind you and attacks you, you have to you have to have the awareness to know, is it coming from the back? Is it coming from this flank, from that flank? And well, actually, no, I guess that could be in PvE as well. Like, you have to have a lot more situational awareness, knowing where the attacks are coming from so that you can adjust to them.
Yeah. I know that in EQ1, like, there were some tight corridors and stuff like that where you'd have to zoom in to first person. So, I don't know. With limited action bars, designer and having a controller, probably not. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it is a
Yeah.
limited
It
action
comes down
bar.
to the fact that you can't compare H1Z1 to EverQuest Next.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not the same game.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's-
Game mechanic wise, no. No, game mechanic wise, no. Server wise, like mechanic server wise, no. But like,
I just want to think of
The
different...
reasons.
I just want to think of different rules that, like, if we were going to have all of these different servers that are out there that have different rules, what type of rules would we put on them? Because I, like, when we started the show, I could only think of two, and now we've got, okay, well, maybe a first person only EQ Next server. Maybe there's a demand for that. Maybe people would want that, because
Maybe certain classes are banned.
I don't think that they would do that.
Why not?
I don't think they do that either.
Because
If you can make your own rules.
what class would you ban? Why would you ban it? What would the
Evil
purpose?
classes be that you can only get through doing certain things.
Like a good server only?
Something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things that people might not want on their server. Or maybe good classes only banned, like no paladins, only shadow knights. No goody goody two shoes on this server.
How do you stop that though?
I don't. Well, I mean, in Landmark, you can disable the grappling hook in PvP. So, I mean, I'm just throwing ideas out there. I'm just causing trouble. That's what I do.
Oh man,
No fast travel server.
no,
Like if they have a fast travel system, like I don't know, whatever, ley lines or portals or whatever. A no fast travel where you have to get on your mount and run over the places. A no flying mount server. I know that in Warcraft that was one of the things that people have asked for a long time was, and Warlords of Draenor was the first time like they have no plans for flying mounts in their new areas, and I could see that being something that players would be like, yeah, that sounds good. That's the type of server I want to play on. No flying mounts, no fast travel, no flying mounts, first person only. Hardcore RP server.
Yeah, Chrono's already saying yes, no fast travel server.
I knew it. Like, I was brainstorming, and I'm like, that's a hotbed topic right there. People would want that.
See, and that makes you wonder, like, we here's the things that they have not talked about yet. We know that the AI has been talked about. We know that the classes are going to be, you can get them through rallying calls, but it's not the only way to get them. You can find them in the world. We know lore things. We do know some of the races that are going to be there. The things we don't know, server types. We don't know if there is going to be PvP. Be weird for not to have them PvP. But we just don't know if it's going to be there. Two, what type of what is going to be PvP in a game like this, where there's this AI? Like, how does PvP work? Do they do arenas? Do they do PvP games? Is there capture the flag? Do they not do those things? They're trying to they're not trying to create the new Warcraft. They're trying to create, or the new EverQuest. It is the new EverQuest, but they're not trying to rehash what is
the
already
new
out there.
virtual world.
Yeah, they're trying to they're trying to create the next thing, they're trying to raise the bar. So we don't know what it is yet, and maybe that's why Dave never answered my question, because he doesn't even know yet. Maybe they have.
Definitely, this is probably
right.
one of our most speculative episodes, because they haven't said anything on it at all. It just, like, I saw that you two were having the conversation, and then that conversation continued on, and so I thought that it's definitely something that players are interested in knowing about as soon as they can. Like, what type of experience can they expect? So yeah,
I think it definitely all depends on how they do PvP. And whether or not they have PvE only all access servers. Because if they do, and if they can, like, absolutely say, on all access servers, you're not going to have people who are going to be griefing you while you're trying to do your quest, etc., etc. I think there are people who will pay for that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there really will be people. I know there are. I can tell you that. I know there are people willing to pay for that. Am I one? It depends. Like, if I can get all my friends onto one, if we can all sit down and say this is the server to play on, then that's it. Then we kind of go there.
Oh my goodness! Like organizing all those cats, herding them onto the right server,
right?
And
herding kittens is not easy.
And that, again, for going back to the Vanguard launch. Oh my goodness! Because first off, they're my friends that convinced me to play Vanguards were the ones that chose to play on a PvP server. After they had a horrible experience, they're the ones that wanted to leave that server, and I'm like, no, this is like I've already got 10 levels on my gnome. Why do I want to start over? But eventually they talked me into leaving, but I didn't want to. I can understand the like with the new game with new concepts that getting on a good server is probably a lot of players' like priority. They don't care. They care a lot about the server that they're going to be on because as Dave says that there's going to be server communities and people aren't going to want to leave, and so getting on the right server from day one is probably pretty important to a lot of people.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like if story really does matter in EQN and like we decide the story, I don't want it to be on the server that fails because somebody else, a group of people decided to troll everyone else and force us to fail. I'd rather fail because it naturally happened because we couldn't stand up to what was being thrown at us. I don't want to fail because everyone else decided that we're going to make people fail. That would piss me the hell off.
But
to no end.
What if they do something so that you can get it back? Like, what if, and this is the storyteller in me talking, what if the failure ends up being more fun than winning?
Then it's written that way. Like, then it's decided. Then the rallying call splits off that way. Because remember, once rally calls kind of like they're kind of like I don't want to say there's forks in the road because I don't know if there's a three-way path or more than one way of it going. Because depending on maybe what you did earlier, could have affected like even that dragon still could have shown up regardless of what happened here, and then it could still split to a different path. But I mean, it just depends. But I want it to be like, and Krona, I think Krona will agree with me. I just want to eliminate the possibility of, this certain online guild who likes to troll people hopped on the server this weekend and said, like, listen, these people are screwed this weekend. We're just gonna wreck house, and they forced us to even lose, and they continue to force us to lose. And we were doing good, and like, what if you were fighting back, all of a sudden, like this horde of jerks just comes by and just stomps everything? That's not fair. Ruins your weekend.
It does, but again, the storyteller in me who wants to put her characters through hell to have them come out the other side says, I believe in the writers at, I want to say SOE, but Daybreak Games. I believe in the writers for EverQuest Next. And I believe that they'll make whatever happens fun. I want to believe that.
Yeah, I believe. No, I agree. I think that it's going to be. I want it to be fun too. I think that part is going to be fun. But
I think that you can fight against those type of trolls simply by making limiting travel options for one, so that like they can't go like, oh my god, this is going on, we're going to go there right now. It's like if it's. And then the other thing that you can do is just make the world big enough so that there are so many small events that you can't pick out one event to ruin because they're happening all over the place in multiple little ways. And then when you get into the one big place, they don't have the numbers to match.
Yeah.
And they've also said that just because you don't build Halas the first time, it doesn't mean that Halas will never be built.
Oh, no, I agree. Trust me, I get it. Like, I do get that. I was more concerned, and like somebody said, it's like I think that people that are going to grief, and I think Talon's right too. I hope it's that the main rallying calls take longer to complete the one day, so that even if somebody decided to come in and troll, it wouldn't affect the story. Like even if they did, it would just set us back a day versus it set us back all that work that the whole server did. So I hope that it's like, oh, I'm just gonna troll that. Like, oh, there's this like little cool event, and they just troll that one little cool event. It's like, oh, well, we lost that, but then it could always happen again. It could always maybe not. Maybe never happen again.
And
But-
there's an element of like challenge, I think, to each rallying call that I've ever been a part of, which is if you think you might fail, it's even cooler when you win.
oh yeah, no, I'm trust.
So I really do hope that it feels like a real struggle, even if it's clear that your faction might win to the developers behind the screen. I really do feel like I hope that there is this feeling of, oh my god, what if we lose?
Oh, I wanna go into every time like that. Like, I don't want to lose, but we may lose, and then we pull it off. I'll be like, we did it.
Yeah, I had an experience like that in the recent past, where I was calling the raid to wipe, but they kept fighting. And,
Did you guys win?
Yes, we did. We totally
Nice.
and I was the bad raid leader that was like,
Iso got called out for that.
that said, "All right, everyone, stop healing, wipe it up."
No.
It's pretty much how it
I
went.
think it really depends on how they do PvP, how they do PvE, how the writing is done, and I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in EverQuest Next, and I feel like there's a lot of hype, and I can't wait to see what happens.
I agree. I think I agree with Lucy. I think there's a lot of hype. I think that we need to see how PvE and PvP works. We need to see more of the mechanics outside of Landmark right now. I think we need to see the actual mechanics inside of EverQuest Next. And we need to see what Daybreak is going to start doing and how much more money they have. That like things could start changing drastically in a shortened period of time with all this extra, hopefully, cash flow that just came in all of a sudden. So let's see.
That about is the end of our time for this week of EverCast. Next week, we are definitely covering the next EverQuest Next short story, which is called
Read more books.
Yeah, no poetry in death. We will not put up with anybody whining about spoilers. You have a week to read the book, or at least show up and enjoy our conversation about it. So yeah, I'm. I don't want to be the person trying to get the last word in. so somebody camp us out whenever you are ready.
Camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.